This presentation provides an overview of the Victorian Auditor-General's report follow-up of selected 2014-15 performance audits. Performance audits focus on the efficiency, economy and effectiveness of public sector entities and include recommendations to improve the management and delivery of public services. The purpose of follow-up performance audits is to improve agencies' accountability for addressing recommendations. The 3 performance audits we selected for follow-up were additional school costs for families, which involved the Department of Education and Training, DET, effectiveness of support for local government, which involved the Municipal Association of Victoria, MAV, and Local Government Victoria, LGV, operational effectiveness of the Myki ticketing system, which involved Public Transport Victoria, PTV, and the Department of Treasury and Finance, DTF. We examined the progress audited agencies have made in implementing actions to address the recommendations from our original audits. We did this by verifying agency self-attestations, reviewing documents, interviewing staff, and testing compliance with policy and process improvements. Our 2015 audit of additional school costs for families examined whether DET was achieving value for money in the management and application of parent payments. We made 7 recommendations to DET. Since our audit, the government has commissioned a number of reviews into school funding and costs, and has increased the sample size of schools used. However, no changes have been made to the Student Resource Package funding model as a result of these reviews. DET has recently established a school funding review team to drive and coordinate school funding reform policy. Defining what an efficient and economic school should look like remains a challenge. DET's oversight of efficiency and economy at schools has not changed since our 2015 audit, and it remains limited. To address this, DET is working to review efficiency and economy performance measures for schools. DET has implemented a new parent payment policy. We were pleased to find that schools now better understand DET's parent payment policy, and they are applying the parent payment categories more consistently. However, risks remain due to DET's limited monitoring and oversight of schools. We tested a sample of 10 schools' policies and found that they were not all fully compliant with DET's requirements. This highlights the need for DET to be proactive in its oversight and monitoring of parent payments and in its support to schools. DET is conducting an annual internal audit of schools to test schools' compliance with the policy. DET has taken action to respond to our recommendations, although some actions are still ongoing. DET needs to do further work to address the underlying issues identified in our 2015 audit. Our 2015 audit on the effectiveness of support for local government examined the support that the Municipal Association of Victoria, MAV, and Local Government Victoria, LGV, provided to councils. We found that there were significant issues with MAV's governance and that neither MAV nor LGV could demonstrate whether their support to councils was effective. We made 15 recommendations, 8 directed to MAV, 4 to LGV, 1 to DELP, and 2 joint recommendations to MAV and LGV. Our follow-up audit found that MAV has revised and updated all relevant internal governance policies and controls, and has implemented a new internal audit program targeted at key areas of risk. MAV has introduced an improved performance monitoring and reporting framework for support activities, including counsellor training and events. MAV has also developed a new strategic plan and annual reporting process with clearer, measurable targets and intended outcomes. LGV, which is part of the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning, DELP, has improved its processes for collecting feedback from councils to ensure that its guidance materials are meeting council needs. LGV has developed a process for monitoring councils that participate in group procurement, including through MAV, without having to conduct their own tender. The new monitoring protocol will provide LGV with greater assurance that group tenders are being conducted competitively and achieve value for money for local councils. A review of the Municipal Association Act 1907 is currently underway, and LGV has released a consultation paper outlining a range of possible reforms to the Act to strengthen oversight and governance of MAV. MAV and LGV have also established a joint annual strategic planning process and associated action plan. Overall, both MAV and LGV have responded to our recommendations and have taken appropriate action to address the underlying issues identified in our 2015 audit. Our 2015 audit on the Myki ticketing system examined Myki's operational effectiveness and whether Myki was achieving the outcomes and benefits expected from its introduction. We found that there were significant implementation issues with Myki and that Public Transport Victoria, PTV, did not have a complete or reliable picture of Myki's operational performance. We also found that cabinet conventions, when there is a change of government, have been preventing agencies from retaining business cases which they need for conducting post-implementation reviews and measuring the intended benefits of major projects. We made 4 recommendations to PTV and 1 recommendation to the Department of Treasury and Finance, DTF. Our follow-up audit found that PTV has developed a stronger performance regime for the new Myki contract, which includes more robust performance indicators. It also addresses broader aspects of performance, including performance from a customer's perspective, and provides flexibility to address emerging service priorities. PTV is also adopting a more rigorous approach to monitoring the service provider's performance. The effectiveness and integrity of the performance regime will depend on how PTV manages the contract. DTF drafted a business case disclosure policy, which proposed allowing agencies to retain detailed project information when there is a change of government. As the draft submission did not progress to Cabinet conventions are still preventing agencies from accessing the information needed to effectively implement, monitor, and evaluate projects. PTV has not yet completed a post-implementation review against Myki's original objectives and benefits. It is also still in the process of developing a benefits management plan for the new Myki contract. We made 2 recommendations to PTV to address this incomplete work in our follow-up report. Overall, agencies have acted to address our recommendations, although further work is required in some areas. Agencies also need to improve their focus on measuring whether their actions have had the intended impact. For further information, please see the full report of this audit on our website, www.audit.vic.gov.au.